It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline, okay. Now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily. With positive vibes, yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.
It's Rudy Gonzalez joining Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington this week. Rudy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invite.
Let's get right into it. So for those of you listening that do not know, in soccer, people have the opportunity to get what's called coaching licenses, starting with your F license, E, all the way up to A license, which is what Rudy Gonzalez, what you have. It allows people to be able to, specifically coaches, and honestly for whoever wants to get them, learn more about the game, study the game. You work alongside other coaches from youth to the collegiate and professional level. You do workshops, you do trainings, more hands-on. The higher up you get, the more intense the courses are, the longer the courses are. So this week, our guest, Rudy Gonzalez, you have your UEFA A license, which means you have gone through all of the courses and have now been able to achieve the top level coaching course. And that experience has definitely helped you in your work. So talk to us a little bit about what you look to do as a coach to give back to the next generation and teach them about the game of soccer.
I remember when I first started, I thought that I knew a lot about soccer, but in reality, I didn't. So I said, you know what if I try to do something to help out young coaches that want to learn, and at the same time try to help players and stuff like that, if they have any questions, how can they improve and stuff like that. So that's why that was the main idea.
Awesome. Now you are a UEFA A licensed coach. You have, you coach college, so you do definitely have the background and knowledge that a lot of people just may not have. Do you have a lot of people that reach out to you and kind of ask questions or give you good feedback?
Yeah, there's actually I have a lot of questions from people trying to see how can they improve. When they ask me like a specific question, if they're struggling with their team is struggling with something, they reach out to me and say, how can we get better and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
I try to be open and try to answer all the questions that I can. So I'm trying to be as helpful as I can.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know even for me, I still coach youth soccer. And I was like, wow, this is even something that's a great tool I could show my players. If maybe they have questions, whether it be on the formation or maybe they are looking for things like drills or something they can do on their own or whatever it may be, it's something that it's helpful for not only coaches but players maybe get some more information on soccer, which, let's be honest, is not a lot of outlets. I know like YouTube is a good spot to go for looking up things, but there's not a lot of spots to really go and learn more about the game because it's, especially in America, it's not really as, widely discussed and publicized across our country.
Yes, and
that
actually,
is awesome.
Yes, that's one of the things, because like you said, I have my UEFA A license. I was lucky enough to do a master's in Barcelona and then went back and did my UEFA B and then my UEFA A. And throughout that time, I met a lot of people. And in order to have that license, you have to actually move to Europe and get it over there. So since I'm a Spanish-speaking person, I went to Spain, and luckily I got in contact with a lot of professional coaches and players, and that's when I started, and I learned a lot from them. And it's a lot different here in the States because over there they focus on the technical and physical, but mostly on the mental aspect too. They try to teach the fundamentals, but they also want the players to be smart and learn the game and learn to read different aspects of the game. So
You know
I
what?
think
That
that's,
makes sense to me.
Yeah, and that's why they're so advanced, because they're smarter. They don't have to use a lot of strength, and they save a lot of energy by playing smart. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, a lot of soccer is like the tactical side of it. If you can kind of, anticipate, read the game well, understand the movements of where you should be off the ball, all those things make you a much better soccer player. When I think about at the youth level specifically, a lot of American soccer players that I see, that's actually where they struggle. There's a lot of focus on the technical side of things and having a good first touch, but what about when you don't have the ball at your feet? That quote about like for in a soccer game you don't have you only have the ball maybe at your feet 2 to 3 minutes total. If you add up all the times that you have the ball at your feet. So what are you doing the other, depending on how long your game is, of course, the other 88 minutes of the game or 85 minutes of the game when you don't have the ball at your feet? And that's a struggle for a lot of American soccer players, is to be able to think the game through and that mental component. So, wow, I believe that.
Now, I know we've been talking a lot about you and your work as a coach, but I think we have to also note that you primarily work with women's soccer players. What made you decide to focus on the women's game versus helping out as a coach on the men's side?
To help them out, not just with soccer, but education, and get them all involved with the administration aspect of the game as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because we want to empower our women, and we want them in the future to be coaches and be successful in soccer or in other aspects, because our end goal is for them to get, if they want to get education, go to school, help them with that, because sometimes a lot of people don't have mentors or somebody that can help them, and sometimes that's all we need, somebody who can be there for us and can help us and guide us a little bit.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that's a great point.
Yeah, and luckily in Spain, everybody knows a lot about soccer. For example, I remember my professors when I was doing my WSA, most of them had BA in kinesiology, and they all had their coaching license, and they also had a master in soccer. So that's why they're so advanced.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could get a master's in soccer. I know that's something that until prior to our conversation, and I played soccer in college and professionally, and I had no idea, because I don't think it's anywhere in the United States, and I could be wrong, but there are actual programs where you can just study soccer for a master's degree. I mean, I've heard of coaching licenses, of course. I have one. But what is the soccer master's program like? Is that more focused on, like, a step further than what you get at a coaching course?
Yes, because even my license, it was a year-round program. It took me 9 months to get my license. So there were 14 courses, and we had to learn about nutrition, like anatomy, CPR, but at the same time you have to learn technique, tactical. You have to learn the law and how to integrate teams, how to take the best out of the player, psychology. It's a lot. A lot of people when they ask me, oh, so you're going to school to study soccer, they ask the same thing that you just asked. They were shocked because they never thought that you could actually learn something or that you can take a whole year learning about just soccer. Because when we see it on TV, we think it's so simple, and we don't pay attention to all the things that surround soccer. But actually, you can.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot, and once you start integrating those little details, you become a better coach and better teacher. And one of the things that I like about Spain is that they focus a lot about teaching social values, and I think that's why they make their players better, because they teach them to be humble and to be respectful towards players, refs, crowd. And I think that's something that we need to learn from them and try to implement it here in the States, because soccer can be used as a tool to educate people. It's I know it's a sport, but if we educate our youth through soccer, we can do so much.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it's a tool. You know, it's all sports are tools to be able to learn some life skills, to develop relationships, social skills. It's more than just the physical of what you're doing on the field or court. Now, for soccer, you have had the opportunity to, study it, coach it at the collegiate level, and also to meet a lot of players and coaches through interviews and conversations you've had. So how has that all really impacted kind of how you now look to give back through coaching and mentoring women's soccer players, to now want to empower them to go on and take all of the resources and tools they can possibly get from soccer on and off the field to be better individuals, in whether fitness, soccer, life lessons, whatever it may be? What are some of the main things that you really try to teach them?
Everything, but I usually try to do step by step. I see one of the things that American coaches do, and they try to teach too much, and they overwhelm the players. So I try to break it down and make it simple, because sometimes American coaches they tend to complicate things for players, and soccer, if you pay attention, is not that complicated. It's 11v11, one soccer ball, and you try to shoot it to the other goal. So sometimes we try to complicate things, yes, and we make it harder than what it is. So we confuse our players. So the first thing is that I try to simplify everything as much as I can and make it in a way that they can understand. Okay, and then
I like that.
at the same time, I use soccer to teach them to be team players, to try to work with each other and support each other. If somebody makes a mistake, they need to support instead to blame. And at the same time, I teach to play as a team. Everybody has their job. Everybody should know what to do when we have the ball. When we lose the ball, everybody has another job. So I teach that too. So I spend the summer going to the San Jose Earthquake training with Matias Almeida. He's one of my favorite coaches. He's a great person, and I really admire him. So I got to spend time with them, and I learned a lot from them too. He's from Argentina, so the Argentina side is really interesting too, because it's focused on the physical and tactical aspects as well. So that's one of the other things that I've been implementing in my training, the style from Argentina.
Right. I love that. You're always learning. Learning never stops, whether you're in the classroom or out, like you mentioned, having conversations with people. Even like just now, I just learned about you can get your master's in soccer. Like, you're always learning, especially within sports, if you want to continue to grow like you have done, to be, licensed at the highest level, and you have to continue to learn to be able to develop your own individual skills and knowledge to help pay it forward to, teach someone else. Rudy, thank you so much for joining Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington this week. I really enjoyed, getting the opportunity to hear about, with all that you're looking to teach and empower, specifically in women's soccer, since as a former women's soccer player, that's all near and dear to my heart, to see someone out there in the community working to help other female soccer players. So thank you so much for joining the show and for sharing insight on what you're doing.
No, thank you for your time, and I hope to stay in touch with you.